This is a really great question. Under a recent Fluent in 5 video titled Why is des used with ikitai, someone posted this. Love the short format, George. Great decision to revisit this. Des is a funny old thing. My teacher once told me that des is not a verb, and I still don't know what it actually is. So is da a verb and des is not? I find it baffling as you can easily substitute da with a des, can't you? Question 1 is des a verb? Yes, it's an auxiliary verb. And of course, we all remember the auxiliary verbs. Can I end the video here? Some of you are new here though, or you're not a linguist. The auxiliary verbs are is, am, are, was, were, etc. There are more, but let's keep it to those for now. But is it important to know if des is a verb or not? Yeah, actually it can help quite a bit. You'll also hear des referred to as a copula. Excuse me. Oh, when I hear the word copula, I get a bit nauseous. There has probably never been a time in history when someone heard des is a copula and thought, oh, now I get it. If you had that experience, you should not be watching my blasphemous video. Just go somewhere else. But whether you call des a copula or an auxiliary verb, I seriously wonder if it helps. I always feel like classifications like this help just a bit, or they hurt the student. In my mind, there is one great reason though to think of des as a verb, and that is because Japanese sentences always end with a verb. So if you don't have an obvious verb like go, eat, shop, etc., then you'll most likely need a des. For example, nouns and adjectives need des after them. Let's look at 2 sentences. First with a noun. Watashi wa Amerikajin desu. That means I'm an American. Amerikajin is a noun, and therefore we follow it with a des. That's acting as the is, am, are. Kare wa Nihonjin desu. He is a Japanese person. The des is doing the is part of that. Suika wa benri desu. Suika wa benri desu. Benri is a na adjective. It has des at the end of it because that's filling the function of is. Suica is one of those metro cars, and you can also use them in convenience stores and vending machines and all sorts of places that I probably haven't seen. Kyou wa atsui desu. Today is hot. Atsui is an e adjective. So you see we have nouns, e adjectives, na adjectives, all using des. Your second question was, can you substitute da with des? You absolutely can. Da is the informal casual form of des. So we can now make the previous sentences informal, whereas with des, they were polite. Watashi wa Amerikajin da. Watashi wa Amerikajin da. I am an American. Kare wa Nihonjin da. He is a Japanese person. Suica wa benri da. Suica cards are convenient. However, with e adjectives, you cannot just add da. You typically would drop the des. So for example, you might say kyou wa atsui. But we can also do that with nouns. You can say, watashi wa Amerikajin. I am an American. You could say, kare wa Nihonjin. But let me warn you, if you don't nail that tone, they'll be waiting for more. They're waiting for you to say something else. If you hit the des properly, they'll know that you finished your sentence. Why? Why? Because Japanese sentences end with a verb. And Japanese people know that, so they're programmed to think that way. They're waiting for the verb. So when they hear the des, they're like, oh, okay, I can interject something here, or I can respond. But in casual conversation, you might get rid of des. You might get rid of desu ka even. Someone might say to you, kyou wa nanyobi? What day is today? Ah, kyou wa getsuyobi. Today is Monday. But before you get good in Japanese, before you've built that level up, always add the des. Trust me, it helps. So going back to e adjectives, if you have an e adjective, you can say kyou wa atsui, today is hot. But normally that sounds a little bit abrupt. So a lot of times Japanese people will add a particle directly after it. They'll say something like kyou wa atsui ne. It's pretty hot today, huh? Or kyou wa atsui yo. Today is hot. Or kyou wa atsui yo ne. Today's hot, isn't it? That's where they're kind of asking for confirmation on your part. All right, moving on. Up until this point, we know that verbs are the end of sentences, including des. And we know that da is the informal of des. But let's step it up a notch. You might think, I'll always be polite, so I'll never use da. It'll be easier that way. But you'll soon find out that you need to know da, and you'll need to use it a lot. For example, it's used in Japanese compound sentences. For example, this sentence right here. I'm American, but I can speak Japanese. He's Japanese, so he can speak Japanese. We have a but and we have a so. In those sentences, When des is ending the first sentence, it converts to da. Matter of fact, in most spoken Japanese, the first sentence in a compound sentence is in its informal form. It just sounds more natural that way. So let's look at those two sentences in Japanese. 私はアメリカ人だけど日本語が話せます。彼は日本人だから日本語が話せます。Just remember that having the informal da in the sentence doesn't mean the entire statement is informal. Formality is determined by the final verb of the compound. So for example, if I want to say something completely informal in that compound sentence, I would have to say, 私はアメリカ人だけど日本語が話せる. And I could throw a yo on there if I wanted to. 日本語が話せるよ, for example. And again, the formality is decided by the final sentence. But we had to turn des into da. If you are overwhelmed, do not be. Just put this in your brain in a compartment that you can access later on, or come back to this video later on, because we don't talk about this in one book. We talk about it in 3. To get to this level of Japanese, you would have had to been through Japanese 1, 2, and 3. We actually slow walk you through all of this, get you very comfortable with the verbs. So that reminds me, if you don't have Japanese from Zero book 1, 2, or 3, go check them out. Or if you're not a book guy, if you're not a book girl, go to fromzero.com and check us out. Also, let me know if you have any other questions. I love to answer them. I look for them every day. And if something's interesting, I will make a video on it. See you in the next Fluent in 5. Bye-bye.
Fluent in 5, where we take 5 minutes out of your day and teach you Japanese.